Welcome to Daniel's Inferno. My name is Daniel. Thank you for joining me today. Before we begin, if you have a moment, please like, subscribe, join the conversation below in the comments, and give me your opinion. Today's video. Hong Kong police have upped the ante in terms of the protests. The police surround the PolyTechnic University after a night of violence. So let's get into it. There's a bit of this is breaking news. The violence has been going on all night, and I've seen quite a few devastating pictures of both police and protesters with heavy injury, and it's getting nasty, that's for sure. So dozens of protesters tried to leave after sunrise, but turned back as police fired tear gas and rubber bullets. The police say the tear gas was fired because a large group of mass rioters suddenly charged at cordons. In the afternoon, another group of protesters tried to run from the campus, but many were arrested. The group of around 100 tried to leave PolyTechnic University by a tunnel entrance. They fired more tear gas, and a number were detained. Others from the group then retreated to the campus. So, as you can see, there's some pictures. Twitter has been quite a buzz about this, to be honest. Officers had previously said protesters could leave the campus via a road south bridge, but urged them to drop their weapons and remove their gas masks. But one pro-democracy legislator inside the campus, Ted Houle, said the bridge had already been sealed off and it was not possible to leave this way. So, obviously, it was a trap. Some 1,000 people, many of whom are students, still remain on campus, according to Mr. Houle. He added that many on campus were injured and cut off from medical services, calling it a dire situation. The acting president of the student union, Ken Wu, had previously told broadcaster ATHK, so RT Hong Kong, I believe, that at least 500 people remained inside the campus. He added that fresh water was available, supplies were running low, however. Demonstrators have been occupying the site for days as Hong Kong's violent protests continue to escalate. Escalation indeed. Earlier, the head of the university released a video statement to protesters saying he arranged a deal with the police. I'm assuming that deal was for them to leave. If protesters left peacefully, he said he would personally accompany them to the police station where he would ensure your case is fairly processed. I'm sorry, that sounds like a load of bullshit to me. That sounds like the head of the university is sick and tired of all of this happening on his campus, and he wants things to return to normal. So he's trying to get the protesters arrested. So meanwhile, a Hong Kong court has just ruled the government's anti-mask law is unconstitutional. In October, government invoked a colonial-era emergency law to make wearing masks illegal. Protesters have largely defied this and continue to cover their face and hide their identities. Good for you, protesters. So we're just going to talk this little blurb here about what's happening at the university, and then I have another article to show you, and Twitter, and a picture. The campus has been occupied by protesters for several days, and it has been severely and extensively vandalized. Overnight, protesters threw petrol bombs and bricks at police and even fired arrows from bows. The BBC's own correspondent, who was at the scene, said there was a game of cat and mouse with police. The police fired tear gas and water cannon advances, squirting noxious blue liquid. The protesters, crouching behind umbrellas, respond with petrol bombs and rocks fired from improvised catapults. The police vehicles retreat. The net result is 0. So they're basically coming at each other. One will come at each other and retreat. The other one will push back, and they will retreat. That's what it sounds like is happening at the moment. When police tried to enter the campus at 5:30, they were met with petrol bombs, which started more fires around the site. After dawn broke, dozens of protesters tried to leave the site but turned back after being met with tear gas and rubber bullets. So let's just say, I want to say this. What's going on is very bad. It's not a good thing. The Hong Kong protesters have been backed into a corner almost, at least for them. I'm sure it feels like that. And that's why they are now upping their game in terms of the weapons being used. I saw a gas canister with nails wrapped all the way around it. It was an improvised shrapnel bomb. The things that are being used are going to kill people. And instead of de-escalation, the government is escalating the situation by doing things like this unconstitutional mask ban. The protesters are wearing masks because they don't want to be arrested. They don't want unfair trials and undue processes. It disgusts me personally that Canada has not had a statement or shown support for the protesters of Hong Kong. And this is probably because Trudeau and China have a deal. They have a free trade agreement, and it was one of the only positive things that Trudeau was able to do in his first 4 years as Prime Minister. So if he talked out against the Chinese regime, he would be shafting himself, at least in his mind, where he might actually be showing some spine and some Canadian values if he did that, in my opinion. So this was 6 hours ago, and it's just a little more information about the situation that we were just talking about. As months of anti-government protests have caused turmoil in the city, the latest violence is some of the worst the semi-autonomous Chinese territory has seen since the movement began. The police have become targets for radical demonstrators who accuse them of excessive force. I think that both sides probably have used excessive force at different points. The police's job is to protect people and to maintain order, and people have a right to protest. They have a right, when protesting, unfortunately, to cover their faces. In some countries this isn't the case, but in Hong Kong this is the case. And even in times of emergency, when you rip these freedoms away from people, it makes them more radical. It scares them even more, and it makes them want to fight harder. And this is not a video in support of the Chinese government at all. The Hong Kong protesters are in the right. They are trying to defend their freedoms. They are trying to defend their rights. However, what I'm about to show you is a picture of detained medical workers and emergency personnel who were trying to go to and from the campus to provide relief and aid to anybody who was injured. And the police arrested them. This is disgusting. The emergency workers do not have a stake politically in it. At least that is not why they are there. They are there to help and save lives. That is their job. The police are now hindering the jobs of other public services from being given to the protesters. This is only going to escalate the situation further. It is going to scare people further and is going to cause further escalation. I don't have a quick fix to this, and I don't think there is. I think the easiest thing that could be done is China revoked the law they tried to place where they could basically take anyone, even people visiting, tourists out of Hong Kong, extrajudicially, and put them in jail or prosecute them under their laws. And that's what started all of this. And that scared people, rightly so. So I support the people of Hong Kong. I believe the violence on both sides needs to go down. However, I understand the use of violence from the protesters because they are fighting for their basic rights and freedoms. Join the conversation below. Let me know what you think. I'm Daniel's Inferno. Thank you very much for watching.